Yeah, I'm a rapper, I'm a man, but I'm a Mac first.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all, we got a new topic. Should U.S. boxing rivals Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. be fighting in the Middle East? Alright, y'all, so I did a semi-video on this topic a couple of weeks ago, man. You can go back, just check my thumbnails. You'll be able to figure out which one it was. But just discussing the benefits and perhaps the downside of trying to put this fight on in the Middle East just to get it made, because they're having a lot of trouble securing proper purse or the site fee in the U.S. to get the fight made. It's really them not being able to generate enough upfront money to pay both fighters. You know, I think they've secured the half for Errol Spence Jr., but Bud Crawford doesn't want to agree to his side. There was an interview that came out with Espinoza, and he made some really good points in that interview.
You know, one of the issues, particularly with whether it's Dubai or Saudi Arabia or those places, is if they're going to pay $30 or $40 million, they're going to want it on their local time.
I think that the biggest point that I overlooked that he made was regarding the time zone differences. And I do feel like this fight would have worked overseas if they would have done it earlier in the year, earlier in the summer or spring. But since they are pushing it, they're pushing it further and further out, closer to in the fall, early winter, that I don't think it can work overseas if you're doing it during the, that time, because there are a few reasons I don't think it will work. Mainly it's because the winter time and the fall months, everybody's back in school. People don't have the vacation. Normally people would take their vacation time in the summertime, because it's more stuff to do. So it would be harder to put a significant amount of eyeballs in front of this fight if you were to do it in the winter time, in the fall time, when people are at work, when people are back at school. And the reason for that is the time zone differences. So Espinoza was saying that if they did it over in the Middle East, maybe Saudi Arabia, Dubai, something like that, they would want to have it during prime time of their country. And prime time for their country is not prime time for the U.S. or other countries. So you would have a big conflict of when the fight actually took place. I miss a lot of fights that happen overseas. AJ fights, Anthony Joshua. I've missed a lot of Vasil Lomachenko fights, George Kambosos fight, because of time zone differences. When they're putting these fights on too early in the day, and most people are still at work, most people are still at school, and especially during the winter and fall months. If you try to do it in the summer, it's a little different. A lot of people are out of school, so it put a lot of more casual eyeballs in front of the fight. But if you try to do it during the school year, during the times where people are harder at work because they're trying to save up for holidays and stuff, it's going to have a real conflict on this fight. Now, could the fight still work overseas? I mean, it could. It would depend on where you put it at. Listen, I think they can easily secure a venue and a site fee and all that stuff if they took it overseas. That could all easily be solved. There are people over there already offering like $20, $30, $40, $50 million to try to put this fight on. But they want to hit a certain number of pay-per-view buys for this fight. They want a lot of people watching this fight. I don't think it's going to work in the Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, wherever you wanted to take it over there. I just don't think it would work over there. Could you take it somewhere else overseas? Would it work in the EU? There are other places you could take it overseas that will put you in front of a new audience, but may not conflict with time zones. I just don't think that they can secure the money. Saudi Arabia is a special place. big money over there. They play with oil money, princes and kings, all type of royalty over there with royalty money. So I think that when you talk about taking it overseas, that's probably the #1 place. And I think you would have even more time zone difficulties if you took it to like the EU, anywhere else, you know, somewhere weird. Not to say that Australia is weird, but a place that usually doesn't host big fights unless the fighter is from that country. You know, at least one of the fighters are from that country. So, I mean, does this kill Crawford versus Spence? I mean, it doesn't kill the fight. I've said for a long time it might not happen in 22. It might happen in 23. We are, I think, closer to the fight actually being made, and perhaps somebody's going to eventually cave in, just agree to the terms to put the fight on, because they can't negotiate it any further. There is nowhere else to take it. There is nobody else to put up the money for the fight. Either eventually both sides are going to sign off on it, or I think you're going to end up in a situation where the fight just doesn't happen until the dollars match up. Perhaps these two guys, they go fight someone else in between, you know, try to build it up a little bit more. I don't think on Errol Spence's side it's necessary to build him up anymore. I think he's already at that level. But for Terence Crawford, because there are so many question marks about him selling pay-per-views, not being able to sell out venues, you know, his resume. There's a lot of question marks about Terence Crawford that don't exist for Errol Spence Jr. So either it's going to happen or it's not going to happen at this point. Here's another question. Should a prime for prime U.S. fight be taking place overseas anyway? Is that like a no-no for two prime U.S. fighters to put that fight on foreign soil? You know, it's something that doesn't happen very often for two top U.S. fighters not to be fighting in the U.S. because there's always usually a market for it. There's always usually money to be put up for it. But because of the Maypac situation, the way boxing has been marketed and been sold over the past few years, people are just not interested anymore. So you're having to find alternative ways to actually put these fights on and sell these fights. Me personally, I don't think there'd be a problem with taking it out of the country. I think the problem would be, of course, the time zone issue. When do you actually put the fight on? When do you actually broadcast the fight? Do you do it prime time so it benefits the people within the country that you're fighting on, or do you put it on so it benefits the U.S. audience? Because we all know the U.S. audience is the money-making audience. You know, there's a lot of question marks. But I think that these guys will figure it out. I hope they figure it out before summer's officially over and we start pushing into the colder months. I think this fight could easily be forgotten about. There are already people saying that there are other fights that they're more interested in, that they're walking away from this fight. It's just becoming more of a headache just to even think about it. So let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube. So holler at me over there if you want a response. If you want to be featured on Cardinal Red TV or Cardinal Red Sports, holler at me at my Gmail. It's Cardinal Red Does It All at gmail.com. So holler at me over there. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are man.
Niggas outside, they slanging that rhyme. Chicks on the side, they slanging that. Nigga like me, they making see. Chicks making money, breathing on. Everybody gotta get paid. Said everybody gotta get paid. Said everybody gotta get paid. I can't wait, your dog. Get your paid. Hey yo, I came up. Louisville, West End, nigga, 22nd Street today. And ain't nobody really paved the way. So I'm out here struggling, trying to make my way.
Preparing us like wine to a grape stain.